You're watching the Tesla Life, live with your host, Mark Coughlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Live number 325. What are we, the 20th of September, 2023? Welcome to the show. Welcome. We got, we got our regulars, of course, with us. We've got Mr. Casey Green and Mr. Patrick Connor. Casey is from the Mid-Atlantic. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. Cleaned up the background a little bit.
Oh, he's just making changes. That's good. Yeah, and Patrick joins us from the West Coast with his lightsaber burning a hole in his back. That's got to be
Growing right out of my shoulder. Oh, on this side, yeah. Hello, Tesla Nation. It's actually like a fall day here. This is nice. Just getting ready for, pumpkin spice everything. I don't know if you like that or not, but it's coming whether you do or not.
Absolutely. There's pumpkin spice everywhere. But even in the news, but we'll get to that. I am sure there'll be some sort of pumpkin story, but let's get right to it. First story of the evening, Casey's got about superchargers, of course, being Mr. Supercharger.
That's right. So over in the EU, our friends over at Tesla have secured funding for version 4 supercharger installations and expansions. They received nearly 149 million euros from the EU to support the update and expansion of the supercharger network in Europe. So it's going to be used to upgrade over 7,000 superchargers to V4. Nice. And
wow.
Yeah.
So does that mean they have to be available to non-Teslas?
Probably. That's not all, though. They're going to invest an additional $352 million to fund 26 infrastructure projects, which also sounds like they're pulling a U.S. Get ripped off for what you receive, just like we do around here. Like, let's see, the minimum charging station I can provide, but the maximum price. Thankfully,
Right.
Tesla doesn't do it that way, but sounds like they walked right into it.
Well, remember when we saw the pricing that actually came out of Tesla in Texas? And
it's expensive, but not as expensive as the other guys are charging.
Yeah.
Right.
That was quite the eye opener. The Texas quote that they lost. Texas decided to go with high bid. So kind of weird. Now that, of course, the entire industry is aiming towards Tesla chargers and switching so they can utilize them. So
right. So this particular project, Tesla Italy applied for it since they're an EU member. Obviously, they were able to prevail. They received 133,780 thousand euros, so 133.78 million euros. They aim to deploy 6,458 recharging points at 250 kilowatts for low voltage DC in 613 locations in 16 countries. A, T, B, E, B, G, D, E, E, S, F, I, F, R, I, E, I, T, L, V, L, T, L, U, N, L, R, O, S, K, and S, E, along with the core and comprehensive network.
Okay, what were all the letters for?
That's not how the alphabet goes. That was the wrong order, I think.
That's the reason I didn't decode. I don't know some of them, but I did know enough of them, and I didn't want to just keep dropping back into abbreviations.
I see.
I left them.
MOUSE.
Right. Tesla Poland also applied, and they were awarded 14.994 million euros for the deployment of new superchargers in 6 countries. They aim to deploy 740 recharging points at 250 kilowatts for low voltage DC. Just doesn't sound right.
No, it doesn't.
I suppose it is.
You never hear it described like that.
Not supercharging. That's everybody calls it high voltage.
Right, but there's a difference between the 800 volt systems and the.
Oh, sorry, LDV. Maybe it's not. No, I was reading it too quickly. LDV, not LDC. Similar usage, but only 6 countries instead. CZ, EL, HR, HU, PL, and SI. just to keep it fair. Exciting.
Yeah.
Good to
Although
see
I was
you guys aren't as
wonder-
starved for Chargers as we are over here.
Yeah, Europe seems to be a different ball game, right? Like it's
Mhm.
they've embraced the DC charging infrastructure in a different way. It seems that you don't hear as many complaints about broken down networks or problematic networks. The ones that they've got connected to their highways, there's about there's Circle K. I know that they're out there, and they've got two other brands that I just can't think. There's Fast something, I believe, with
Fastnet?
yeah, and they're connected to freeways, integrated into the rest stops of those freeways. It seems a lot of them are. So yeah, that's good news for Europe, and I'm sure that these extra Tesla V4s are going to be well distributed and certainly add to the network that's already there. That's going to be great.
Definitely. And the only complaints I ever really hear are that sometimes it's a little slower than people like to start and that they don't like the pricing. But I don't hear the same sort of complaints I hear about some of the networks over here when I hear people complaining at all.
Right.
And usually it's people in UK complaining that there aren't enough points for them, but that's not really a gripe with the working stations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder, are garages as common in Europe as they are in North America? So are
So
people
depending on
more
where you look.
dependent on the
Whether you get
and
off-street
certainly
parking or garage or
right,
a
exactly.
driveway.
Yeah, that's well, certainly with European cities, we know that there's less space when you get into cities themselves. Yeah,
At
so
least the old ones. Yeah.
the older ones, and there's a lot of old cities in Europe. Like they're a lot older infrastructure than what we have here in North America. A lot less space, shorter distances between major and metropolitan centers. So it's it wouldn't surprise me if they have less garages than what we're used to here. I know that shots of Greater London area tend to show there's a lot of on-street parking. There's a lot of front yards that have been modified to have a gate and have two vehicle parking where normally a patch of grass would be. So it's I'm sure it's a mixed bag, but I just kind of think that Europe would have less space for garages. My guess.
I wonder if they have more available routes for the auto train, or if they have it at all over there. I mean, obviously they do ship cars by train, but like, can I get a ticket for me and my car?
Actually, when you said trains, they do a lot more delivery by trains too.
Because theirs don't suck.
And here's the other weird thing for North Americans. When we see car trains, they're all blocked off that you can't see the cars. Right? They've got those steel cladding on the side of train cars.
For the cows and horses and stuff. Yeah.
In Europe, there's no steel cladding. The cars are just open to the wind, just like a car carrier would hold them on the truck. And someone on our Twitter feed had asked, why would you need steel cladding? And it's like, because we've got a bunch of knuckleheads that like throw rocks at trains.
Throw rocks, spray paints.
Yeah. So that's the sad case here in North America is if you have
we have a bunch of knuckleheads. That's the show title.
We got a bunch of them. Trust me. Next, speaking of not knuckleheads, we got a little share of a video here. We're going to try to do. Here we go.
No try. Do. Oh, let me mute it. There we go.
I didn't realize there was a soundtrack.
In high mode.
RC, does that stand for remote control? So someone's driving?
Yeah.
Remote control, baby. Smart some. like it's some loose dirt there. The way that the wheels are all spinning.
Oh yeah, so you get to see the 4-wheel turns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got it also this apparently is a little bit of a test area in California where they're doing some testing of those vehicles.
And
And
not a
it's
closed test either. It's just a public land.
It certainly is a good to see that the CyberTruck is out testing on a bit of a four-wheel drive course, somewhat. Also, that the air suspension was in full use in that clip as well. There was another article talking about Cybertrucks in tandem, a few of them with the RC logo on them that are out at a particular four-wheel drive range in California testing just yesterday as well. So I was wondering if this was the same from the video. It may be.
And then Elon and Mr. Netanyahu were going around the Fremont test track with the Cybertruck.
That's right. Yep. That was, I guess if you're a dignitary and you're vying for a factory, you might get a free Cybertruck ride.
The world's most expensive valet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's kind of cool. Glad to see the Cybertruck moving into different areas, using it often. It's man, we have been waiting so long. Here we are, past mid-September. We still don't have an announcement yet.
Right.
We don't know when we're going to get a notification of some sort of an event.
Yeah.
Still waiting.
I'm still holding out for a Halloween party. That's the way they got to do it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Speaking of pumpkins.
Pumpkin spice. Yeah, there you go.
Which one of the Spice Girls was that? Pumpkin spice.
So I went to service on Monday, and I forgot for my show and tell. I forgot to bring it in from the garage. They replaced my radiator bypass valve. It's a 3-way valve, and apparently it was causing all my coolant to leak. And yeah, sometimes it would cause the car not to charge. They replaced that and the coolant, obviously. And a couple of the employees mentioned that they are waiting for their super secret Cybertruck to show up, and they haven't seen one at their location because they think it's because they're in the Southeast, which is too far from engineering. Nowhere near Fremont, nowhere near Texas. But they are still excited.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was their way of telling me not to go walk around the building.
Yeah, because unbeknownst to you, there was 4 of them back there.
Right.
We can't tell him they're there, but he can't see them, so we'll make up another lie.
That's right. That's right. They were selling it hard in case he was buying.
They did put me in a not a plaid but a palladium and tried to get me to buy it. And I've been complaining that the dimensions on the Model S are exactly the same as my Model X, which isn't the case for the Model S. But it rides completely differently, and I enjoyed it. But I don't know if I enjoyed it enough to restart my adventure and also pay for supercharging.
Yes, that's a big thing to give up. Patrick still got the jitters over giving his up, I'm sure.
Yeah, luckily we don't supercharge all that much.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. But I have no regrets. I think this was the right time to get the Y with the tax credit back and with the FSD transfer and hardware 4. I've been really happy with our decision to get rid of the X and get a Y. As much as I loved the Falcon Wing doors and the free supercharging for life, and now we just lost our premium data, where I had that premium data for life and the other one too. So that's not all. I want the best of both, but I'll take. I'm happy with what I have, so I can't complain too much.
Did you get that car PPF'd?
No. In fact, that was. I'm sure you remember this when we got our 3. I garaged it for like a month because I couldn't get the PPF on there. And Mark was like, "What? You've been waiting for this car for 2.5 years? You
Yeah.
finally get it? You're just gonna sit on it for a month? How can you do that?" And yeah, this time we just decided, no, they're there to get
There are a
used.
million
And
of these things out there.
if the paint gets all chipped up, well, then we'll get it PPF'd and we can do some cool color over the top. Instead
there
of
you go.
doing one to protect the paint, we'll do a wrap to as the new paint job. So if we ever want to do that.
Okay,
So
interesting.
One thing that was
Yeah.
really nice with the cast front and rear on the new Model X was it was enough get a little bit stiffer, and so it was well behaved over some of the old streets of Savannah.
Yes. And speaking of that, what a great segue.
Casting.
Our next story, I'm sure Casey planned that.
I did.
Too much of a smile on his face. He knew he was doing it. The Tesla has almost come through with a breakthrough new one-piece casting technology. Of course, as Casey mentioned, with the front and back casting, which is now on the Model Y, and of course the new Model 3 Highland as well. We've now
Highland is rear only.
Oh, really? They didn't do a front on the Highland. Okay, my mistake.
Because Austin is the only one that can do a one-piece front casting, and also Berlin, I believe, can do it too, but they don't make Model 3s. And then Fremont, the two-piece castings, it looks like they took the two-piece castings and made two molds. Well, actually, four molds. The rears and fronts of the Model S and X, so they come in halves, like the the Model Y rear end used to do.
I thought for sure Shanghai would have the capability of doing that.
Shanghai has 5 gigapresses, and all they make is rear ends of Model Ys.
Okay. Well, this article talks about a new type of die, which of course is a complete frame. So this would be the front and back connected together. This is speculation. It's not an official thing from Tesla. This is some groups from the outside looking at what Tesla has been ordering, and they suspect that this breakthrough is either in hand or close to being in hand, where it will allow Tesla to, again, speed up the process of assembly of vehicles, because it will have a single gigacast piece that is getting very close to the Hot Wheels model of just being able to press a car's frame out complete and then just add the components to it and slap the top on it, and you've got yourself a car. So this is kind of interesting. I thought that during some previous Tesla announcements about how they're going to improve the manufacturing process by assembling the cars only once. So right now you're sometimes adding things to the vehicle, then you're taking doors off, you're getting them painted, they get added later. I thought they were going to be assembled in maybe front and back and side pieces, and then they were all going to come together at the end or near the end and plug onto the car once. But if you have a single large gigacasting front and back, I would think it's going to be hard to assemble things on the front and back in separate sections for it to come together. So again, I'm not sure how that actually works, but obviously Tesla is looking for efficiencies, and if they can get more of an efficiency with a single piece, they'll obviously do that. But with the last instructions from Tesla about what they were working on, or what they felt the Model 3, the third generation platform was going to be put together as, I just kind of got the idea that it was going to be like separate area, maybe a front section, a rear end section, and they would work on them independently, and then they would come together at the end to plug together to make the car. But I could be wrong.
That is what they showed in their diagram. Here, let me.
Yes, it is. Yes, this is interesting because you have to have the doors on there when you paint it, which if you then wanted to, because there's always some variance in painting, so you need to have that painted so it's exactly next to the body piece it's going to be next to, so they're the same color, because even different days there'll be slight differences in the paint color and tint or whatever. And so Now, how would you do it so that once you have that on there, you keep it on there? Well, exactly what they're
No
showing
paint.
here. With the interiors, if those are built on this piece that's popped in later, like the seats attached to the battery, normally you take the doors back off because you have to do so much on the inside, and the robot arms can't get in with the doors. Well, if you're putting it in through the bottom, that's not a problem. So maybe you can keep the doors on.
Just leave them on, yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
But you can't even paint the doors with them on because, of course, the trim behind the doors in the A and the B pillar area has to get paint as well. So there is the issue that they may all go in together to the paint shop at once, and they'll all be sprayed with the same amount of paint, or from the same batch of paint. But they will have to be assembled after the fact. They just could get painted all at the same time.
Well, that's true. If you never put them on to take them off, like, and you just spray them while they're in one piece, that's not as bad as if you put them on then take them back off.
It's going to be interesting to see as we get into more and more details of them speeding the process as to how they did that. And of course, maybe some of that stuff will come to light with another story we're going to do later today. But not talking about that yet, we're going to move on to another supercharger milestone. What's this, Casey?
50,000. You got a photo?
Sure. Let's bring the
Definitely have to have a photo with this one.
Yeah.
50,000 watts of power. Is that some radio station jingle way back when?
There we go.
And there's also one of these with it with a CyberTruck charging there. And there was a hunt for it, but these internet sleuths are really good. It's in California. It's was it San Bernardino Boulevard or Mall?
Yeah, like the city is Roseville, California, which is very close to Sacramento.
Yes.
And you can see the little plaque at the bottom indicating it's number 50,000. And of course, the color of it, for those that don't recognize it, is the Ultra Red.
Ultra Red, Roseville, California station. But what did they call the street? The street was confusing because I thought it was next to the mall. And it may still have been. Oh,
and I think Tesla missed an opportunity here. Like, they dropped this red charger in the middle of a bunch of white chargers at this location. It was extremely easy to spot. Why did they not maybe put a white coating on it so it looked like a normal supercharger, and just kind of installed them and pretended that it was a normal one, except for some deviation, some little deviation. I'm sure Tesla sleuths would have found it anyways, but it was kind of interesting that they made no announcement that this was happening. All they did was release some pictures on their Twitter feed, and I think before the pictures were released, others were taking photos of this in Roseville and posting that they found this unique supercharger.
Indeed. And so it does have one little change from the rest of them. Instead of having like a 5V or a 2A or an 8D, it says it's number 50,000.
Yeah.
Good luck finding that on the map.
Yeah.
Number 50,000 is having problems right now. One thing I did like is they've got the cards like you saw at Kettleman that say 250, but on the back side it says don't use this side.
Yeah,
that's funny.
I was hoping they had that in the picture, but they didn't.
That's because they have, of course, lease agreements with the groups that own the actual property, and they lease a number of parking spaces for supercharger use. And people that come up to the other side and charge are, of course, using a stall that's not leased to Tesla. So Tesla's required to put a sign on it to use the other side.
In addition to that, it also makes it really frustrating when you got somebody who's like cruising for open spaces and then they see one and they pull in and it's not actually available. It's being used on the backside.
Yeah, when they're in the right spot to be charging and they parked there because it was open, they expect to be able to charge. Yeah.
I guess this is California problems.
Yeah, that's California problems. That's exactly right.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen anywhere else, but it's rare that in the places elsewhere that it does happen that you're also at a full station.
Happens a lot less outside of California for sure. But yeah, that's cool. I'm hoping to see number 100,000. Maybe we'll make that one blue. It'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Yeah, you can't get anything by the Tesla fans out there. Like it was reported on as soon as they were installing it. I'm sure photos were going up. People were crowding around it, pointing to it.
Put it out and then put the bag on.
It was crazy.
Nobody around.
Exactly.
Dark of night.
Next,
if they really wanted it to be stealth, it should have been somewhere in the middle of Montana.
Right.
Yeah.
Not California.
Yeah, exactly. Next story. Here's something interesting. Was removed from the Tesla website was the all-wheel drive Model Y disappeared recently this past week from the order books. So the base car has disappeared, and of course this is the one that was made at Austin, Texas. It was the one that had the 4680 battery pack. Wonder why they stopped selling that at this point.
Well,
speculation is
that
CyberTruck, obviously,
that make those 4680 standards. They need those same machines to make cyber cells. And further speculation is that if all of that is true, then that whenever they do make enough cyber cells and get it up to speed, that they'll bring them back and kind of stealthily make the Model Y long range out of that plant cyber cells.
Right. Because, of course, we were told recently that the 4680 was also getting an upgrade for CyberTruck that was going to get about an extra 10% more energy dense for the CyberTruck. So with Tesla looking to have a big splash on Cybertruck sales, they're going to need as many of those cells as they can get their hands on. So maybe updating the line at Austin to have a cyber cell go on that line as well, and update Cato Road and update anything that's Fremont, whatever's going to get the 4680.
Berlin.
Yep. They're all going to have to get this this update. And you're right. What a perfect time to roll out a Model Y with a cyber cell in it, and all of a sudden you've got a long range one with the 4680 structural pack. So
and all the savings that go along with that.
That would make a lot of sense. So there may be a slight amount of time that one's not available, but overall it probably fits nicely into Tesla's plans for the 4680.
Yeah, and then the other speculation is, well, what are you going to do with 2170s? Tesla never cancels battery contracts. Well, what other vehicles using 2170s right now? It's not the S and the X. Think big.
Semi.
Think very big. Yeah, the semi's not sensitive to the batteries being a little bit more expensive with 2170s, or a little bit heavier, or and like they implied they were going to put 4680s in it and then didn't. So what better way to ramp up the semi than to just give it more cells? Hey, here's all the ones that were going to Model Y. We don't need them anymore. Now you can make however many semis a day.
Yep, makes sense. So hopefully that's more good news for the Cybertruck orderers out there, that they're starting to pack batteries away, getting ready for installation into trucks to start to roll off the assembly line. So we shall see, but that's the speculation on the street as to why that Model Y has been discontinued at this time.
Yeah, at first it looked kind of temporary, but then it went on 3, 4, 7 days, and people were like, yeah, this wasn't a hiccup in the line. They're gone.
Yeah, and they're either doing it, like we just said, so that all those cells can go to CyberTruck, or they have something new coming and they want to clear out that pipeline of that stuff, like Mark was saying. So, yeah, this is good news.
Good news.
We did see RC on the back, which was release candidate, which means Cybertruck's getting close. We don't know the date yet, but it's not long.
We've also seen some Cybertrucks running around that don't have manufacturer's plates on them, and not like no plate. They weren't manufacturer's plates.
Is that because there may be a limit on the number of manufacturer plates a manufacturer can have? Do you think?
It could be that, but I would suspect that it probably is true that they might belong to somebody.
You think some internal employees have
like a beta test team or something?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Because of course that's what they did with the Model 3 after they had a number of employees that took possession of the car early, and they were reporting back data to Tesla based on their experience on the road.
Around no sun visors.
Yeah, they knew, of course, that they had a friendly customer base that would be just reporting to Tesla and nothing but.
They already had signed an NDA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense, Casey. It definitely could be some employees getting the Cybertruck early, because they have put out a lot of them, and a lot of them have shipped to California, and it certainly makes a lot of sense. Didn't think of that.
If the reason they're in California over Texas is maybe that's just where the engineers are for Cybertruck.
Yep, could be. Speaking of California, a little while ago, tours stopped at Fremont, as we all heard during the C19 event. And they have not kicked on again, although Elon had sent a Twitter message indicating that they would start the tours again in a couple of months. Now, since that tweet, it's been about 2 years. So again, Elon time is in full swing. And what has happened recently, though, is that your Tesla mobile app in the loot box has been updated, and you now have the option of getting a tour at either Fremont, Texas, or Berlin. And you need to cash in 15,000 Tesla points in order to get it. And that would be a tour of yourself and up to 3 other people can be included for those 3 locations. So I would love to hear of anyone that has booked the first tour, or if you've already cashed in your points to do that. Apparently, the instructions had indicated that once you book it on the app, you will get a phone call within about a week from a Tesla representative that would set up the schedule for that tour. So that would be very cool. I'd love to get a tour and invite you two to go along. And I'd love to see Texas. I think barring Berlin is a plane ride away, I think that Texas would be a fun road trip, and to be able to check out the Giga Texas through a factory tour would be fantastic. If you had to pick one, but you had to pick up your own plane fare, would you choose Fremont, Texas, or Berlin?
One more time, question.
I would go to Texas just because I've already done the Fremont tour, and Germany would be awesome. We'd have to go in October,
yes,
so that we can also hit Munich as part of that.
Part of Oktoberfest.
But,
yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Or you could come here to Ontario. No Gigafactory, but the second largest Oktoberfest in the world. So,
really?
Yeah, exactly. My hometown, Kitchener, where I live.
All right.
So,
yeah.
But
so what was the qualifier on that? Pay for your own what?
You had to pay for your own airfare if you're going to choose Berlin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would probably I would want to do Fremont and Austin. Those would be the ones I'd be interested in seeing.
Yeah.
Shanghai, of course, but I'm not going to China.
No, that's and they didn't offer it for Shanghai. No. It was not part of the package, so that's kind of interesting too. And of course, Giga Mexico's tour is real quick because there's nothing there yet. It's just a big field. Desert field.
Everybody who goes for the next 9 months.
But that one's free. That was absolutely free. You're just going to drive on the highway and they'll say, "Okay, look to your right. There it is."
So it used to be that these tours, every owner got one free per year, and you didn't have to spend referral credits or anything. So I'm glad they brought them back, and I'm glad they put more factories in there. But 15,000, that's a referral and a half. If I convince one other person to buy a Tesla, you won't even let me walk through the factory. It has to be 1.5 people. Come on, that's too much.
I would much rather use the money for
Supercharger. That's the other thing that kind of leads us into our next story. Is there's now 5 million Tesla owners.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes, the plants have more than tripled in number of plants, but there's going to come to a spot where there's going to be way more people that would like to go on a tour as opposed to number of slots available to view. Is
True.
there
I do
is
see that
is
point.
that what Tesla's doing here? Is they're basically thinning the herd because they know that they're not going to be able to satisfy everybody as they were doing just a few short years ago. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but that could be one possible reason.
Yeah, and since factory tours have been on hold for so long, as soon as they open it, there's going to be this pent-up demand, so they have to do something to level that out.
Yeah. But 5 million vehicles now on the road. And guess what? That last million, it only took 6 months to reach.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got an acceleration still going on. I believe the million before that was over 9 months. So we've got this acceleration that's happening because, of course, production is ramping up at multiple sites and more lines are opening because of factories coming online and speeding up to the run rate that Tesla is used to. So that 6 months for the next million probably going to be dropped by another couple months as time goes along. So certainly this speed shows it's not slowing down. And of course, as I don't even believe that Texas is up to speed yet to the proper amount. So they've still got room to go. And of course, with this Model Y shutdown line that's happening, but the Cybertruck, we believe, will pick up the slack, hopefully, once it starts to get smoothed out on the production line there. They're obviously going to have some bumps to go over and to get production up to what they want. But other lines can be made. We know that Austin has a huge amount of open space in that factory that certainly could house other lines as time goes along. And of course, last week we reported on them wanting to make the third platform vehicle in Texas as over Mexico, because of course Texas is going to be able to house the engineers a lot easier than shipping them down to Mexico on temporary basis and rotating them in and out. So it's another reason why Austin, with all that space, is going to take over that and even more lines.
Right. So this 5 million is huge. And thinking about, so we did a story in July about how Tesla was 20 years old. So when they were 20, they hadn't even hit 5 million yet. And now they did 1 million in the last 6 months. And they're going to start increasing that. Even if they kept that rate flat, that would be 5 million in 2.5 years. So almost more than 20 years for the first 5 million, less than 2.5 years for the next 5 million.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I was speaking with Brian this weekend, and he pointed out an interesting figure is that with 60 factories, Ford is making 6 million cars a year. And as you pointed out, 6 months to make 1 million with less than 3 factories running at full speed.
How many factories does Ford have?
60.
60. 60.
60.
Wow.
To make 6 million. And you've got essentially 5 that are actually making vehicles, because Buffalo doesn't do anything for making cars. And if you count Nevada as making the semi rather than just parts and batteries, then it's also a vehicle factory. So
Well, right now Ford has some factories making zero cars because there's a strike.
that they do.
Yeah. But that's an interesting point. The efficiency again of Tesla with their lines. Well, look back to Fremont. When Fremont was owned by GM and Toyota as a test plant, their output was less than what Tesla is producing currently out of Fremont factory.
I think what was their peak was like on a really good day, they set a record. It was what, 250 or 500, and that wasn't a normal day for them. And now Tesla's doing 500 a quarter out of there.
Yeah, so it's
1,000.
It's a
right,
testament
which was like
that
their best annual, right?
Ever.
Under NUMMI, yeah. So
Yeah.
Tesla's doing 4 times with their best day. Yeah. Okay.
So it's incredible the amount that they're rolling out of these factories, and of course that is driving the price of vehicles. It's driving. It can drive the price of vehicles down, and has in the past little while. But it's going to be interesting. And again, Austin, I just can't believe its size. I believe that the land that Tesla purchased originally with Austin, not just the one factory that's there, but the land that they purchased along with it, has the ability to fit another 5 current gigafactory sizes on that same parcel of land.
And not just Austin. Every gigafactory, including Fremont, except for Buffalo, has had room for expansion or been expanded from when Tesla acquired it.
Yeah.
Even if it used a sprung structure to get it done.
That's correct.
Exactly. So that's fantastic. We'll definitely be watching. Okay, so let's get a bet in right now. Next million cars, I'm going to say 5
Year end,
months.
of course.
I'm going to say 5 months.
I'm going to say year end, of course.
So you're going to say year end.
They'll be really close because remember we what did we say 2 point 2 point something we said.
Okay, then I'll be the pessimistic one, and I'll go $1 over Mark.
January.
5 months and a day, Patrick. Yes.
Just because they're doing some line shutdowns now. They've told us about this, and so I don't think this million will go as fast as the last million because they're building in more capacity, which is a good thing. But it does mean that the results for the rest of this year are not going to be as good as they were for last quarter, and that's fine.
So put your guesses in the show notes. Let us know what you think it's going to be. I'm 5 months. Patrick's 5 months a day, and Casey is end of year, which is, man, that is optimistic, Casey. That is like super optimistic because we're the 20th of September now, and you're saying end of year. Okay.
I know I'm not going to be right, but how close am I going to be is the question.
We can do some interesting math now, since we just got the 50,000th supercharger and the 5 millionth vehicle. That's 100 vehicles for every supercharger. That's pretty simple, straightforward math. Yeah, you don't even need a calculator for that one. So that's. I hope they can keep that ratio or better going forward. So if they're doing a couple million cars a year, they have to be putting out at least a couple hundred superchargers, and
especially since none of the cars are compatible with all the superchargers.
Right. Yeah, but that's changing. Yeah.
Well, at least not natively. I mean, I'm sure Tesla has an adapter, but they're not selling it to us.
2024, you'll be getting all kinds of adapters for
exactly
CCS to NACS and vice versa.
Oh yeah, but I meant CCS2 to NACS. I'm sure it exists, but
yeah.
Let's take a look at this photo. And this is kind of cool. This is a parking garage in Greater Vancouver area, Vancouver, Canada. And what we've got here is a empty Tesla making its way towards the door. There was an owner who came back to a parking garage and realized that he'd been locked out of getting his car. The entrances to the parking garage, it was late at night, were closed, unable to get to it. So he, since he could see his car through the grate, he decided to try out the smart summon and activated it. The car came towards him, got out of its parking spot, maneuvered around a few pillars, and got to the place where there was a light beam that would open the door when the car crossed it. And in this photo, you can see the door is halfway up. So obviously, this person was successful in getting their car out with Smart Summon. So that is a use that I never would have thought of. I think that is something that owner is on the next level, thinking that he could do that, because of course with Smart Summon, you've got the video. Excellent.
Well,
so this is the view from the car
perspective. The other video had some language in it.
Okay. So that is something on next level. But of course, make sure if you're going to use Smart Summon today that you can see the car at all times. Because there has been some instances with Smart Summon where it hasn't been all that smart and has bounced off the car beside it or an object. So that
mine tried to run over an insurance agent's Model Y.
Oh no!
Right.
I don't know.
I use Smart Summon.
I don't know if I can blame it for that. I really don't.
See, but the problem is an insurance agent would have a direct line to the insurance, and I would be in a real world of hurt.
I joke. So yes, the
I would not recommend this. The way that they did that, they were lucky in that you saw it from the video there. It only had to go like 15 feet, if that. Right. And they could see it. But what happened if it did get stuck when turning? It didn't turn sharp enough, and now it's in some other's parking spot, and it's all.
You better be there when they open up in the morning.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You would have to just leave with your car in some place it shouldn't be, and then come back to get it the next day.
Yeah.
So that one of the things you were saying, you should make sure you can see it. Well, I would also add, make sure you can get to it if you need to get in the driver's seat to correct something. So,
which in this case was not possible, right? Like
right.
If it had screwed up, that was it. They were out of luck until the morning or until they could get someone to come unlock a door.
They're also lucky that Canada must have had some sort of standard that says you can't trap somebody in there if they're already in there.
Yeah, because if it was a mechanical, it was just
like
a deadbolt lock. It wouldn't matter what the car did.
Right.
or worse, like they it still worked, and then it destroyed the deadbolts, and now you got them for destruction of property.
I don't think the car would ram a door.
No, like the gate, if it was still strong enough to shear its own lock.
I see. Right, it triggered it, but then ripped the lock. I got you. Yeah. I thought you were gonna have your Tesla ramming the door to get out.
No.
CyberTruck,
insurance agent's
CyberTruck, that's okay. Yeah, but not a Model Y or 3 for sure. That would not work. Next story, Patrick's got for us, and this one is about leasing in some way.
That is right. So this comes to us from Tesla Roddy, and it's titled "Tesla Prepares for $1.8 billion Lease Securitization." So
dumb it down for me, Patrick.
Yeah. So as you guys know, a lot of people lease their Teslas, and then they have to make lease payments to Tesla. And so that's an income stream. Well, once you have an income stream, there are people that are interested in income streams, and they're willing to pay to get that. And so Tesla can put those together and effectively sell a bond. And so they can get the money now to do stuff with it instead of waiting for all those lease payments over however many years.
Cash for your annuities? We'll pay now.
Exactly. Yes. And so Tesla's issued bonds in 2013, 14, 17, 19. And so this looks like they're going to have another bond offering that's going to be backed by by these leases. And so if you are interested in buying some Tesla bonds, they could be out there soon. And and then you could be getting quarterly checks from Tesla. And if for a lot of people, that is better than stock trading. It's less volatile, and if you need a reliable income, bonds are a good way to do that. And of course, it all depends on what they're rated. And so it looks like these are going to be rated between AAA and AA, so high quality bonds. And Tesla will then get all this cash, and who knows what cool stuff they're going to do with it.
So with the cash that Tesla would get from this, they get to walk away from those leases, right? It doesn't matter what happens with those leases. It's now up to the person that purchased them to collect the money from those leases over the term of the lease. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's always banks involved, and that's why there's discounts on this, because there's some expected fallout rate. But you have and there's also you don't get when Tesla sells it, they're not going to get the full value what it would be, because you have to discount those future revenues, and then you have to account for some that are going to default. And so yeah, people who are much more into finance have worked all that stuff out.
Yeah. So there's just percentages of loss built into it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So Tesla gets a big payday all at once for these lease and the future payments on those leases. That's interesting, because Tesla, as we see it today, really doesn't need the money, do they?
Right. Yeah, that is interesting. So why? What is it that they're doing with this? Why? They have plenty of cushion in the bank, and so why not just continue to collect the lease payments?
Why not collect the full amount, right? Over time. So
instead of paying some bondholder an extra 5 or 6%, I don't get it.
Yeah, they're gonna pay cash for the Mexican Gigafactory, or they need a lot of Hydra machines at once.
Yeah, maybe there's going to be a ramp up of Optimus Prime quickly. Who knows? But that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
It is
for sure. Next, going to Casey's neck of the woods. And what's this story about superchargers in South Carolina, Casey?
So this is a case of the good old boys network strikes again. Apparently, allegedly. It is not proven, because that's the whole point of the daggum system. Palmetto Farms is a store in Aner, South Carolina, and they have sued their town because they have failed to issue a building permit to start construction on a Tesla supercharger. And there's nothing in the town's bylaws or anything to that effect that would prevent them from having a supercharger. And it was slow walked so badly that they ended up suing the town, and the town tried to get it tossed out, saying, "Oh, well, we denied it, so it's moot." And so now it's gone off to appeals, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, this is so annoying. So you talked about them slow walking it. So the way that it works is you apply for this permit, and if they decline it, you can appeal. But they didn't decline it; they just didn't respond.
They let it expire.
Yeah, and like for like 2 years, if I remember the story right. So the business owner has this deal with Tesla to have these superchargers installed. They're waiting for the permit, and so then as soon as he files the lawsuit, they decline it, and now they say you don't have standing for the lawsuit. We've declined it. So they pushed it as far as they possibly could to ignore this guy. And what do they care? It's his business on his property, and all about freedom. Except unless you're doing something that I don't like, and then big government in your face. This is just
there's a reason it took 4 years to get our first one in Charleston.
Man,
that's ridiculous. Like I'm glad they're suing the county or the town city about this, because it needs to be done that way. Like there needs to be an example set down that if you're going to ignore the rules that are already out there, you're going to pay for it. Because obviously this guy is experiencing some loss, and of course he's got an open contract with Tesla that they're willing to start paying him.
Terminating the contract. They are waiting to see the results of the lawsuit before they
because they want this kind of silliness to end as well. Because of course this would set some precedent in the county, if not the state,
it could set some precedent. Our appeals court has this habit of putting this stamp at the top of a lot of the appeals cases of this does not set any precedent.
Right. Yeah. They say fact specific, non-precedents, and all this other crap.
They don't do that exclusively. I've been, you guys know I've got a case in the South Carolina court systems. It's been slowly working its way through. And I've been spot checking, like, how does this work? How do these people behave? And some of them, they don't have the disclaimer, which must be taken to mean that they are setting precedent. Or at least can be cited for precedent anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he has a good case for damages because
yes.
How many customers would have shown up at his
He's
business?
lost thousands of customers over 2 years. Well, millions of customers, possibly.
People driving Teslas tend to be well-heeled, and they're going to be there for a while. And so if you're the one hosting it, I know that all the places we've stopped, I'm like, okay, I'm here. I'm taking a break. I want to get a coffee or a sandwich or whatever. And we've bought souvenirs. We've done all kinds of stuff. So yeah, he's missed out, and I hope that he wins and can get these things installed, and the city has to pay whatever damages that he's claimed.
Force them to approve the permit. The other thing is, it's not just the opportunity cost of the customers that they lost with Tesla and standing with Tesla. They've also lost the opportunity to take it to one of Tesla's competitors, say Electrify America, EVgo, ChargePoint, because if you've only got so many spaces that you must retain after, because there's minimum parking standards in this country. If those were all the spots he could give, 10 spots or 20 spots or whatever, you can't then give more to those other companies because you've already promised them. Now they're just in limbo.
Right. It'd be funny if they made the city pay for the superchargers. That would be a perfect punishment.
That would be some great revenge there for sure.
I like Mark. Yeah, they are found guilty of silliness.
Liable. Liable for silliness.
It's a legal term. What can you do? Yeah. Oh man. Next, we've got a story about an updated
more charging. So, if you've got a Gen 3 mobile connector with the combo connector, the Smart Dock Mini, if you will,
yeah,
you can now control it from the app, but not just that one in particular, but that's the one it's most useful for on a one-to-one basis. I'm sure that if you are one of the sites that's got like 30 of these things, that there's another functionality available for you. But one thing that's really nice is even if you're not listed in the supercharger, the destination charger network, is say you've got a bunch of them and you've got kind of a weak grid, you can allow them to spool up independently on a staggered basis when the power comes back on. Kind of like when you turn your server on, all the hard drives don't just spin up at once. They
right.
go up in groups so that your server's power supply doesn't just go kaputs. So you can then do that with your fleet of wall connectors. That way, if you've got, say, a hotel or a movie theater and the power goes out and comes back, you don't have 20 to 50 cars all of a sudden trying to draw 11 or so kilowatts at once, times all of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And another plus of this, which is not quite released yet, is that Tesla is going to be allowing groups that have 6 or more of these chargers hooked up to a network to basically charge what they want for the power. And Tesla's going to track it and bill it for you. They'll obviously take your percentage, but they're going to be the holder of the app's information, and they'll be able to send you a check in the future based on who uses your charger, what they get charged, and some of that money will come right back to your pocket just by being part of the wall connector network. And again, that right now you have to have 6 or more chargers connected in order to qualify for that.
So we spoke of that particular program before. Is this coming out of beta, or is this the first implementation of that program?
I believe this is the first implementation or the start of it. Like this is Tesla's programming wing adding these abilities, or starting to add these abilities to the mobile app.
Okay.
Right. So they're adding more features.
The only ones with 2 weeks.
So they're adding more features to this. So as the way that it worked in the past, the wall connectors were dumb and all the intelligence was in the car. And that was great because the cars were all Teslas. And so you only need one intelligent thing connected to schedule charging and do all of that. And so they've already got all of this stuff in the car for intelligence. So why not make the wall connector simple? And because the best part's no part. Well, now when a whole bunch of cars are moving to NACS, you don't know what the car is going to have. So now Tesla's adding these features into, so the wall connectors have been wired or have had Wi-Fi for a while. With, I think you said it was Gen 3, right, Casey?
All Gen 3s.
Yep.
Right. And so now that you have a connected, an internet connected wall connector, I'm just going to say car charger, even though I know the charger is technically on the car. It just simplifies that sentence.
Charging system, charging station.
There you go. Yeah. Charging station. That one's good. Yeah. So now you have a smart charging station. And that means so we talked about it here. We have a Chevy Spark and we're using our Tesla wall connectors. And so just whenever you plug it in, it starts charging. Well, I can go into the Spark and set the time when to charge, but it's a pain. That interface is slow and kludgy and there's no app for it. And I don't always want it to be in the same mode. So I have to go in and switch back and forth. What a pain. Instead,
it's just silly, isn't it?
It is. It is guilty of silliness. If I could just set the charging station to do what I wanted, then it doesn't matter what car plugs in. And that's what they're starting to make available here, which is really cool.
Especially if you've got the time of use billing, which Patrick does have. So
I do, yes. And in fact, this is very relevant because my kid just came home and plugged in. And it's like, it is 4 o'clock. We are right in the middle of peak time. But, I looked and the battery's got it. So, okay, that's fine. Because I'm not using the grid even though I'm in peak time. Yeah.
the kids aren't thinking about this. And
no, because they don't pay the electric bill, do they?
No, they just leave lights on. So
right. Yes.
Turning into my parents. So
I'm already there.
You can plug it in and it will just wait until it's cheaper. And then at that point it will charge. And you could already have set the Tesla for that, but in the case of the Spark or the Bolt or any of these other ones that don't use that same setup, again, like Patrick said, you can enforce it. And then when his company changes it on the weekend, or at least on Sunday, he can then dial it in so the kid can be ready to go on Monday, rather than it just having to be the same time all the time because it's a pain to change.
Yeah, with the advent, of course, with this third generation charger, they even give you the option to have a J1772 option charger plug. So
two ways.
Yeah. So
they had one that was permanently a J1772, and then later they replaced that with what I call the mini Magic Dock.
Yeah, the universal connector.
Yeah,
and that's just a sweet, that's really smart way to do it because now the adapter is just right there. And they don't really call it adapter. It's just an extension to the connector. And that's fine because the way it locks, it doesn't get lost.
Exactly. Well, that's quite a bit of news that we covered tonight. And we've got, that's about a wrap, I would say, for tonight. Definitely.
All right.
But with that, shout outs. Let's move to that. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up at this point. Press that subscribe button. If you've watched the end, obviously you like what you see. Help us out with that thumbs up and subscription. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps us out immensely. Thanks so much. Casey, any shout-outs for this evening?
Yeah. Join us on Sundays for a chat at 1:10 p.m. Eastern, where we discuss Tesla and green living, electric cars, SpaceX, just nerdery. And then we catch you back again here on Wednesday with all the news that happened between Sunday and Wednesday, because that's just how it rolls around here.
It never stops, does it?
It never stops. It doesn't sleep. If you go on vacation, you've missed everything.
Exactly. Patrick, what do you got to say for a show wrap up?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. And I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. I have an interesting story up there right now. A friend of mine was trying to buy an EV. And well, just to tell you that the title is Trying to Buy an EV Nearly Cost Me My Sanity.
Ooh,
I believe it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's worth a read just on the title.
Yes. Yeah. Go check it out.
We've got to charge it and
story.
to flat.
Also, you can
as well.
Also, you can follow what happens throughout the week on our social media. On X, you can follow us at The Tesla Life, and of course on our Facebook page, narrated by Patrick. You can find us at The Tesla Life #1. Search that on Facebook, and you can find our official page there. We also want to give a shout out and thank you to Casey for keeping these live streams up and running, and we appreciate that greatly. With that, I also want to put in one more plug. If you haven't signed up for a National Drive Electric Week event, go to their website right now, look up an event that's close to you, and register that you're going to go down and check out all the EVs and talk to all the like-minded people that are going to be at that event. They are all across the country, Canada and the US. Please join up and go out. They're your people. You'll be happy that you go out and talk to them for a morning or afternoon session. You'll love it. So with that, National Drive Electric Week starts this Saturday and goes to next Saturday or next Sunday. So it goes just beyond a week. So get out there and get registered.
I like that we minimize the impact. We call it national instead of World Series, or it's like it's a whole continent, and we just call it national. It's just one versus something one, and then expanding it out further. Oh, why do we do this, Patrick?
Oh yeah, you know why. It's for a future free from fossil fuels.
Yeah. Exactly. Have a great week, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Icky Moon.
Stay positive. Test negative.
Wrong button.